Today I want to just share briefly on something that I've been pondering over for a while, and that is the power of the spoken word. The power of the spoken word. The text is Luke 5, verses 1 to 7. Luke 5, verses 1 to 7, and Psalm 138, verse 2. Let's do 2. Luke 5, 1 to 7. So it was, as the multitude pressed about him to hear the word of God, that he stood by the lake of Gennesaret and saw two boats standing by the lake. But the fishermen had gone from them and were washing their nets. Then he got into one of the boats, which was Simon's, and asked him to put out a little into the land, from the land. And he sat down and taught the multitudes from the boat. When he had stopped speaking, he said to Simon, "Launch out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch." But Simon answered and said to him, "Master, we have toiled all night and caught nothing. Nevertheless, at thy word I will let down the net." And when they had done this, they caught a great number of fish, and their net was breaking. So they signaled to their partners in the other boats to come and help them. And they came and filled both the boats, so they began to sink. Let's go to Psalm 138, verse 2. Psalm 138, verse 2. I will worship towards your holy temple and praise your name for your loving kindness and your truth, for you have magnified your word above all your names. Above thy name, above all else that thou hast done, above all the other manifestation of thyself to the world. The word name here will refer properly to all that God had done to make himself known. Since it is by the name that we designate or distinguish anyone, and thus understood, the meaning will be that the word of God, that is the revelation which he has made of himself and of his gracious purpose which he had made of himself. All that can be known of him in his works, beyond all the questions, there are higher and clearer manifestation of himself, of his being, of his perfection, of his purposes in the volume of revelation than any which his works have disclosed or can disclose. The word of the Lord. You said that at the mention of your name, every knee must bow, every tongue must confess. That is his name. And he said he magnify his word above his name. At his name, all knees must bow. And he said his word is elevated above his name. What about his name? Now I want to just know, what about his word? I want to talk a little bit. In Genesis 1. In Genesis 1, the Lord created all things by the power of the word. And all he said was, let. Everything that was created was by the power of the word. All the Lord had to say was, let. The creative, the transforming, the life-giving word, all he created have not failed up till now. Since then, he said, let there be light. That's all he said. He said, let there be firmament in the midst of the waters, and let them divide the waters from the water. Let the waters under the sun be gathered into one place.
let dry land appear. Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed. It's the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself. Let the earth bring forth living creatures, according to its kind. Let us make man. Let them have dominion over every living thing that moves. Let there. And after he created all he did, that never changed until now, then he said, let man have dominion over all the creatures. Now, when you miss it, remember, he said, let man have dominion over all the creatures. You are made to have dominion, and the authority to have been spoken concerning you, that let man. He one that said, let there be light, and every day you see light. Let me tell you another thing that he said. We're talking about the word. Genesis 8:22. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. When at any time have you gone to bed at night when it's dark, and when you wake up, it's still dark?
And now the thing that puzzles me a little bit is that we cry for prosperity, and we refuse to believe that receiving is in giving. That's not my word, though. That's what it's. You see, you want to prosper. It said that receiving truly is in giving. And what you give is what you get. Not necessarily, you see, when we talk about this, we get a little bit so crunched up. It's not just money. When you are sick, will you be bold enough at that time that you are sick and pray for somebody that is sick, and so that one will get well, so that your own healing will come speedily? Seed time and harvest time will never stop. If you give Lord a little time, all you can do, I don't care how much time you think I don't care how busy you may think you are. If you give God your time, all the best that you are doing is in retail level. When he will give back to you, he give it back to you in wholesale. You cannot give God. You don't have enough to outgive God. You don't even have enough in terms of time to outgive God. Because when you give sometime, it's for the redemption of your life. You don't know. I told you the story when the Lord was ministering to my brother, and he sat down there and he said, the Lord said, pay, let me just give you the equivalence here. Pay $10,000. Give me $10,000. I said, well, I can just authorize $10,000 from the church account to this project. He said, no, your money is for the redemption of your life. And he wrote his check from his account, $10,000. The next Sunday, they left Lagos. They were to go to another state for ministration, and they had the convoy going on. And somebody just gave him a black 4Runner then. And he was driving the 4Runner, and there was a roadblock, searching with some police activities, and they just saw the black 4Runner, and they started to rain bullets into that car, into that truck. He hit the driver. It tore up all the dashboard. And they were smelling like heavy sulfur and metal. And the Lord said, now get out. And the wife said, you must be crazy. He said, I'll do what the Lord said. And he got up and he ran through the back of the truck. And he ran and just went into another car in front. And then when they pulled him to that place, the moment he got up, the lights lit and they start firing. He said, if you do not get out, everyone in this car will perish. And he rolled out. So when the car drove into the place and we just walked to them, said, then they happened to be northerners. And he spoke to those people in the language there. That, why are you guys, you try to kill me? They said, no, we're not trying to kill you. Who are you? He said, I was in that truck. Oh, okay, sit down here. Immediately they arrested him. Not knowing that kind of truck has been declared stolen. They didn't bother to check which one. They rained bullets. They tore the whole thing with bullets. And then when they eventually got the wife and the rest of them, they took them to police station. Now they have committed error. Now they wanted to cover it. They took them to police station and they wanted to silently just clear them. The one that used his protocol officer, Pastor Kunle, his phone has stopped working for a week, but he continued to carry the dead cell phone. In the police cell, he tried this dead phone. After a week, even if it's functioning phone, the battery must have died by that time. The phone worked. And he just called one pastor. And the pastor called another pastor. Before they know, they just troop all over the police station. Will you have our pastor here? They said, who told you? And they were trembling. They called the commissioner of police. They called the minister of defense. And everybody just zoomed. And then it was a big scandal. Obasanjo, a Christian president, was the president then. They covered the shame. No compensation, but 10,000 bought back his life. What are you doing? If you hear the word, how much are you following it? Or you are fighting and reacting against it? There is obedience when the word you receive mixed with faith. You won't do it unless you trust and believe and you move by faith. For anything you do out of faith is sin.